comes up, people exit. So here is your out right now. If you don't like to participate in breakout activities, maybe you should leave now. Okay. If you want to just be in the breakout room and just listen, that's fine. But you are going to be expected to try to participate, because I think that's the best thing, to kind of feel what it would feel like to be a student in this activity, so that then going back in your teaching mind, how you would prepare your students for this sort of activity. So we're going to talk about creating community. That is so important first. Before you do any collaborative activities, you make sure the students know each other and feel comfortable working together. So then we're going to talk about collaborative activities with tried and true tools. But first, icebreakers, and what sort of tools we could use for icebreakers that use technology. Review games. I had that planned for last Saturday, but we ran out of time. So I'm just going to talk about one tool for review games. Padlet has been around forever, and it's a tried and true tool. So many things you can do with Padlet. Google Slides, so much fun and so easy to use when we set it up right with our students. And then Jamboard, which has come onto the stage and just
Christy, you're muted.
okay, there we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so there are so many things we can do with Jamboard along with images and video. We'll have a little reflection, just some questions for you to walk away with in a closing. So you can get these slides. I will share the link in the chat right at the end. If you have a phone or something nearby, you can open up your camera, hold it right up to that QR code, and it will take you to this slideshow on your phone if you would like to do that right now. I'll pause for about 5 seconds, but I will share this link in the chat right before we finish up. So lots of familiar names and friends. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out and supporting. Okay, so we're going to go to breakout rooms right away, because as I said, you will be working together on some activities, and I'm going to keep you together pretty much with the same partners today. And just let me ask you, if you want to share in the chat or unmute yourself, when you are first in the classroom, in-person teaching, what is the ideal number for small groups? 2. Okay, so pairs works really well. Okay, so we're going, Laura, you're going like 2 to 4, right? I see your visual there, 2 to 4. 3. And is that any different when you're teaching remotely in Zoom? If you ever tried to do a pair activity in Zoom and it failed miserably, it has failed miserably for me, because sometimes we have moms. I've had students who are, logging into Zoom and they're actually at work, which is probably not a good idea, but they're not wanting to miss the class, and they're at work. And they have to step away for a minute. And so there's one person twiddling their thumbs alone in a Zoom room. So what I've found, I've found that I've had to make the rooms the groups in breakout rooms for Zoom a little bit larger than I prefer a lot of times. And I see like 20 of you, 2 to 3, yeah, 4 sometimes even. Yeah, it just 3 to 5. It just kind of depends on your students and their personalities. And, once you know that there's some quiet people, maybe you want to put them with some more talkative people who will draw them out. There are so many different factors, but I have found 3 to 4 is ideal for Zoom. So that's what I'm going to do for today. Okay. So there are going to be 6 groups. You're going to click on the join button. And what I want you to do is to introduce yourself, tell the class or classes you teach and where. Okay. And tell your one best activity for student collaboration. So you're going to have to talk really fast. All right. So one best activity. What's its purpose? What's the skill area? Is it a speaking activity? Is it a a group project where everybody is doing some research and presenting. How do the students receive this activity? Do they love it? Are they hesitant at first? How do you do it remotely if you have done it remotely or online? And also, how is that different from how you do it in person? And then I'm going to, if you finish early, your conversation, if you don't have a lot of talkative folks, and I doubt that will happen. ESL teachers tend to be very talkative, but if you do finish early, I'm going to be projecting to your room a little riddle to see if you can solve that. So I'm going to give you not a lot of time, about 1 minute per person. So you're going to have to talk pretty quickly. And you will be answering these questions, which I'm actually going to copy into the chat real quick. Okay, so I'm going to copy these into the chat so they will follow you into the chat. So if you forget what you need to say, you'll see that in the chat. Going to create the rooms and open. So join now. Here we go. Hi, Marisol. Marisol just emailed me that she wasn't getting into the room, into the meeting. Hi, Marisol. I'm going to put you in a room, okay? The questions are in the chat.
Thank you. Finally, I don't know what's going
I saw
on.
your email that you couldn't get in. I'm going to send you to room 3, okay? Here we go.
Thank you.
If you want, you can send me to a room.
Do you want to, or you can hang out here, whatever you like?
Yeah,
You want to go to a room?
yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I can because I don't see you.
Oh, okay. Then I'll stay here.
I think maybe what you can do is join a room on your own, maybe?
Right, because I'm co-host.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just stick out here.
Okay. But in a minute with the next activities, what you'll see is we'll be able to see what they're doing live because I'll be sharing what they're doing, I think. So here we go. Let me tell them, I'll tell them, I'll give them 3 more minutes. I'll give them a little more because there are 4 people in some groups.
I guess I have to have, which I do now, participants open to see anyone in the waiting room because I didn't get the message flashing across my screen.
Hmm. Oh, right. Maybe that's it. That's right. Huh.
You know, it'd be great. Do you know of any website? I found this one that uh, gives you examples of how to use Google Forms for education for different ways.
Hmm.
I got, I'll send you I'll put it in
Send me
chat.
the link. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Google Forms got best that you can use this, that give feedback, but I haven't used it more than just surveying students to get, but yeah, that would be great. If you have that, I would love to see that.
It's like 25 ways to use Google Forms.
Wow.
Let's see where
Well,
to put that.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, everybody's back. So were you able to solve that riddle at all? Go ahead, Savita. We can't hear you. Go ahead and unmute.
It's not raining.
It's not
Yeah.
raining.
It caused me to pause a little bit, but I'm not very good at riddles. But this is games for ESL, and the first one's really easy, but I have to tell you, check it out. They get more challenging as you go on. So as you can see, when you have students work in collaborative ways, really important for that community to be set up, that they feel they know each other. So let me ask you, these icebreakers, what do you typically do for our first week icebreaker? I usually try to have it the first day, right? What do you do? If you want to share in the chat, what sort of things do you have for icebreakers? And if there are any technology tools that you use for icebreakers. So I'm not going to be able to pause and read everything, but please see what others have typed. So go ahead and share in the chat, but I'm going to have to keep moving on because I have a lot to share. So of course, if we're teaching in Zoom, we can do what I just did. You could have a Zoom breakout room with conversation questions, or you could have a shared Google Doc that you share the URL, and you could even have students typing their answers and interviewing and typing their partner's answers. And that could be a diagnostic on the writing. Again, I love to use Padlet. And so over here, I have a whole little lesson that I use every now and then. The first day of class, teaching advanced students, I teach about gerunds and infinitives, like to, like gerund, and love to. And then they answer some questions about themselves using gerunds and infinitives, and they post to this Padlet. So it's a whole little lesson plan that you can check out right here on this link. Just click on the hyperlink and it goes there. You could use Flipgrid. So if you're not familiar with that, go ahead and check that out. Annotations with stamps, as one of you put in the chat. So if you had maybe a table with some different informations, I've seen it done as a bingo, and then using the Zoom annotations where you put a stamp on one of the sentence starters or the descriptions that meet you. You could do a shared Google slideshow. So I think it's this one that I found. I think this was from Matt from Ditch That Textbook. But somewhere in here in the notes, I do have the original person who created this in the notes. But they set this up and they let you make a copy. It was Meredith from Twitter, Meredith Fakers, okay? So she set this up and she shared it. And then I shared it with my students and everybody put in their information. It didn't go exactly as I wanted because I was hoping they would put a goal for the class, but I didn't model it well because I put my personal goal. But you know, like this person said his goal is just to have an actual goal. But it was a fun way in Zoom. We opened this up and everybody unmuted and introduced themselves to the class. So that was this. And if you want that exact template, it is right here, this bottom link. So when you click on it, what you're going to see is this make a copy. And so you could also do Adobe Spark videos are quite easy for our students, a Canva video. Okay, so we could differentiate, we could give our students options. For students who are lower level technology, they could just perhaps create something very simple, but for some of our more advanced students who have higher technology skills, maybe they want to do something fancier. Or if you're using an LMS, a learning management system, you could have students answer questions about themselves in a discussion forum. So I have some other examples over here that you could look at, okay? So one thing I want to mention is sometimes when we have students work collaboratively, maybe we create a template for a Google Doc or a Google Slides. So I do this often for certain projects, and I'm having students work together, but I want them all to have the same content. So what I do is I sort of make a template. So one way you can do this is really simply you create the file and you share it with them, and they have to go to File, Make a Copy. That doesn't always work very well. Have you ever had kind of a disaster with that? I have. Because sometimes they don't follow the instructions, and what they start to do is just start typing on the file that I shared. They don't follow the instruction to go File, Make a Copy. So a really simple way to avoid that is what I just showed you, is make a Google Doc or Google Slides template and copy it from the Can Edit. And right at the end where it has the slash, everything after that, I copy it into, for example, Microsoft Word. And then I delete everything that starts with the word edit. And you replace all of that with the word copy. So then when you share that to the team of students, they're going to get something that looks like this. And they have to click right here, make a copy. And then every team has their own copy. So they all have a file to work on separately, but it all has the same content that you're looking for. So that's called a forced copy. Do you already do that, a lot of you? Type yes or no in the chat. Pets are always a great topic. No, yes, not yet. Okay, so that's a way you can make a template. Last week, I ran out of time to talk about games. Do you ever use Jeopardy review games? Type yes or no in the chat. So over the years, I've created all these PowerPoint templates of games for review of different units. And you know, they take up a lot of space, all these PowerPoints on my computer. And that was really fun in the classroom. I would put students in teams, but I always have to remind them, do not just yell out the answer. I know you probably know the answer, but you must consult as a team before you give the answer, okay? Because what would happen, someone would yell out the answer and they were wrong and the whole team would be like pouting and mad at them. So we can do this, surprisingly. you can play Jeopardy remotely. I tried it and it worked. I am terrible in math. I have like a dyslexia. It has some word with numbers, okay? So there is this Jeopardy Labs. You can make an account and create your own games with pictures if you like, but you can go there and find a Jeopardy game. There are grammar games. Hey, I don't know what this is, ESL. There are thousands of games there. Look at, there's even Naruto, which I think is like an anime cartoon thing, right? So you can search, okay? So previous, I always recommend, don't just do this spontaneously in front of students. No, no, no. Find your game ahead of time and flag it. So I flagged it, but I'm just going to show you. I decided, let's say we're beginning level and we're reviewing things in the house. So I see several, okay? And you can, oh, hey, they even have in French, en français. C'est chouette ça. Okay, so you can do a little mouse over to get a little preview. You can mouse over. Some of them are miscategorized. What is this? Hair, people, things in the house is just a very, very small part of it, right? So what I did is I flagged one and it remembered that I wanted this one. So I'm going to go there. And what I love is, so what I do is I divide the teams up and I have kind of a table that I show them. And I have it written down in front of me in Zoom when we're in the classroom virtual, so I can remember the teams as well. And then I'm asking different students from each team, each turn to give the answer, okay? So you can create the number of teams, let's say 6 teams, okay? And then we go start. So we say, okay, team 1, tell me your category and points, okay? So Kara, what do you want? Living room. Kara chooses living room for 400. Oh, go ahead, Kara. Tell me what would you?
Living room, 400.
Okay, I knew she was gonna, how did I read your mind? So this is the beautiful thing here. So now what I do is I say, okay, Kara, Savita, and Chinmay. Okay, Kara is answering first for your team. Savita and Chinmay, you are going to private chat. So you need to make sure that they know how to do that ahead of time, right? Wow. So I didn't set this up well for you all, but you're going to private chat to Catesol organization, to Kara, the answer. So Kara is waiting. Kara is not just going to blurt out the answer on her own. It's a team effort. You use this to make your hair or your house pretty. Kara, you want Savita? Hey, I have no idea.
Savita.
Sorry,
What is it?
this is Savita. I think you said something to me.
Do you have any answer? Go ahead.
I'm honestly a little bit confused about this.
Okay, it's okay. So we have already studied things in the house, let's imagine. And this is vocabulary that all the students know. But Kara, do you have any idea?
Well, let's see. I have I like that idea, Marisol. Yeah. Can I say what she said?
Yeah, definitely.
She said decorations, but Chen Mei says pillows. And I was thinking flowers. So I like all of those things.
Okay, so, a painting.
Oh.
So obviously you need to check the game out really well, but this is the thing I love, because what I can do down here is I just go down to team 1 and I put a plus and it knows the points. I don't have to type in the points. I don't have to do the math. And then it's all kind of, they can see their scores and all of that. So not the greatest example, but you see how it could be fun to do in class if you find the great game that works for you. Of course.
Can you make your own, Christy?
What's that, Marisol?
Can you make your own?
You can make it wrong. Let's see what happens. Let's do another let's do another one. Marisol, bathroom 300. Marisol, you use this to wash your hands. Tell me, Marisol, what is it?
Soap.
No, it's a sync, Marisol. So Marisol,
Ugh.
you're T2 minus 300. Okay, Marisol. It's all right, though.
I don't
We'll
like
review
this game.
tomorrow.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, right. So that's Jeopardy Lab. You can make your own games. You can search. I didn't go through the whole game, obviously, so
Okay.
I should have. I
Thank
should
you.
have checked
I was-
all of the questions, but
So
Yeah.
the first time
I-
they play it, it's the teacher calls on one of the students in the group, and the rest.
in the team.
I
And the
was
rest-
trying to figure out how can I email all three. So it's their responsibility to
Text
chat
the
with me.
team, the one person from the team, each team that the teacher calls on, and the others in that team private text to that student. The next time it comes to your team, then Savita would need to be the one to give the oral response. Students, when I ask them, very few have ever watched the show Jeopardy, and I don't typically follow the Jeopardy rules, like to give the answer in the form of a question. That would be horrendous, but it can be really fun. It could be a fun review, and there are many games there that have pictures, for your beginning levels. It could be really fun. And I thought flowers could make, someone put in the chat to make your house beautiful. So look around, find games, create your own, and then you can go back and with your free account, you could change it up for the next time around. You can create multiple games. So let me ask you,
Christy, with that,
yes.
it's Rana, with that
Hi, Rana.
Jeopardy game, do you pre-designate team leaders or how do you set that up?
What I do is I usually don't have 6 teams. I usually have 3, 4 maximum teams. And I have it sketched out for myself who's on each team, and each round. So first, your team 1, Rana, you're going to answer first for your team. When I come back to your team, Rana, a different person from your team is going to answer. So everybody from each team has to answer at some point.
But when you say you have everybody send the answers to one particular person?
To the person who's going to give the oral answer. Mhm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes. All right. So let me ask you, Zoom breakout activities. If you are still teaching remotely, or you were, how do you ensure, or if you're teaching in person, or in the past teaching in person, how do you ensure the breakout activities, small group activities, how do you ensure that they succeed? I was with a teacher yesterday in a meeting, and they said, some school wants a workshop on teaching conversation, because in the conversation classes, the students just sit there and look at each other. So I was thinking, wow, what is the teacher missing to set up the activities? So what do you do to make sure the small group activities, like breakout room activities, work? Share in the chat. I'll give you just about 30 seconds. Model. So important. The important I do, we do, you do, two volunteers model, assign roles, give clear steps, expectations on a Jamboard, have them record the answers, make them accountable. Yes. Check in. Model. Ask them questions as you're giving don't just, I observed this teacher, wonderful teacher, but I think she was nervous because I was observing. She gave the instructions 3 times for about 15 minutes with no check-in. Yes. So make sure they know that they have to report back. Yeah, exactly. Always works best the second time you teach. I had to fix mistakes. Yes. Require feedback. Great. So yeah, when we're in Zoom, audio can cut out kids, dogs, husbands. So maybe give the instructions verbally and in text, check for comprehensions, ask volunteers to restate. Can someone tell me what you're going to do first? Okay, great. Can someone tell me, Rana, right, Rana and Donna, these are important workplace skills for people to be able to summarize or restate what they heard. Model, have a student demonstrate. Assign team roles. So they're not just, they get to the breakout room and it's silence, but someone jumps in as the team leader, for example. And I think if you're teaching intermediate or beginning, it's really important that we teach those conversational phrases for turn taking, and what do you have for number one, and who wants to answer the next question, and let's move on. So Common Lit, one of my favorite reading websites, not for ESL, they have this link for discussion starters. They're a little bit advanced. And maybe you've heard of Jeff Zweier. He has his conversation placemat. Now they're kind of more advanced, so you could think of how you could bring those expressions down to more of a beginning level. But expressions like, please repeat that. What do you think, Rana? In my opinion, what makes you think that? And then always, I always show them the first week. If you get to your breakout room and no one is talking, no one is there with you, you don't know what to do, there's that help button, right? I gave a whole slide to this woman. Have you ever heard of this woman, Esther Park? She is not in adult ed. She is a K-12, I think maybe middle school ESL teacher in the LA area. And she has this amazing website where she has all these free Google Slides and Jamboard templates that she has shared. She's an instructional designer, and she has this one that you can create, that you can make a copy. It's a Google Slide and Jamboard version that she has, where she has group work roles. And so students have to make a copy of this, and they know when they get to their breakout room, they have this, but they also have a place where they have to document that they have done their job. But she has tons of fun games and lots of stuff. You should check it out. So here is the link right here, okay? Also, I'll show when you might use this in just a moment. Oops, I jumped ahead. You probably know, usually I just assign automatically, but have you noticed when you just let Zoom assign automatically, the groupings seem to be very similar time and again. So I do that recreate. It's really strange. So sometimes I assign manually, but there is this option to let participants choose room. Do you ever let participants choose their own room? If you can type yes or no in the chat. And what would be the chance? What would be the situation where you would let participants choose their own room? No, so I'll talk about when you might do that. But there are these lower level students who aren't, okay, projects. So maybe, Marisol, maybe students are doing different types of projects. Yeah, some group might end up with way too many people. Yes. Oh, great idea. If you have many different levels, if you have many family members in your class, husbands and wives, daughters and sons, and that kind of thing, maybe break them up, let them choose to not be with mom and dad and so forth. Yes. So I'll talk about when I might, when I've done that before, but there are these other options that you probably know about. I usually, I'm watching my clock and I go and broadcast the countdown to let them know how much time they have, but you can do this automatic countdown closing of the rooms too, okay? And then one more thing, this is fairly new. It's been around like about a month now with a newer update of Zoom that you can share. You saw this with the riddle that you can share to breakout rooms. So when you send people to the breakout room and then you go to share, when you have the breakout rooms open, there's this share to breakout rooms, and then your students, when they're in the breakout rooms, they can see what you're sharing. The one caveat is then once you go to visit the breakout room, they can't see what you're sharing anymore. So how I get around that is then I have my phone. So I'm sharing on my main computer, and then I'm checking in on them by joining my Zoom room on my phone, okay? But that's kind of useful because sometimes they don't have the documents in front of them. One thing you can't do is you can scroll, but they can't, okay? So getting into some activities, Padlet. Type yes or no if you already use Padlet. I imagine many people do. Type yes or no, do you already use Padlet? Just a few no's. Well, about half and half. I'm surprised. You need to use Padlet. It's so cool. Well, with a free account, you don't get a whole lot of Padlet walls. I've been using Padlet for more than 10 years, so I was grandfathered in, so I have several walls. But what you can do is you make a Padlet wall, and then when you're done with it, you delete it and you make another, or you use multiple accounts, okay? So there are many different types of walls. One they just discontinued is back channel, so they don't have that anymore. But the one that we're gonna do is the shelf. It's perfect for group work when you're brainstorming pros and cons. I showed you last week or the week before map. That's perfect for students to show where they're from. Yes, you can archive, but I don't know a lot about that. You can archive, but I think it still is taking up one of your free walls. So going back to having students choose their own rooms. Does everybody know the activity Four Corners? Type yes or no in the chat. Okay, good. So I have this great lesson that I do. Thank you, Marcel. I love it. In the classroom, the posters. Well, how do you do that online? You can't have students get up and move to a poster. So I have this activity where we learn about extroversion and introversion, and students, watch that famous TED talk about, what's her name? The TED talk about introverts are really, the brains and the power of society. and then students do the online quiz to find out if they're more of an introvert, extrovert, or ambivert. But before that, we learn some of the vocabulary related. So I have students post first, after we've talked about the vocabulary, to this wall. And then, so they've done the reading and thinking, and then I have them come back together in the Zoom. So this is asynchronous. Then we come together in Zoom, and then they do the self-select Zoom breakout rooms and tell what they wrote. So that's a possibility. Okay, yeah. So brainstorming, I did an activity. We read about, the epidemic of obesity in the United States, and fast food. It's ubiquitous was the vocabulary word that my advanced students were learned. And we brainstormed about, in preparation for a writing assignment, should fast food have warning labels? Alcohol does, cigarettes do, and fast food can cause a lot of health problems. So we did this brainstorming, and this was one group. So they had to think of both yes and no. They had to think of both. This is the second group. And you see, they were a little savvy. They changed the color. Okay, so this is the shelf version of a Padlet wall. So what I do is for group brainstorming is whether it is a Google Doc, you could even do it on Google Slides, Padlet, whatever, is I share the link in the chat before sending students out to the chat. I create the breakout rooms, but I make sure there is someone in each breakout room who can share their screen. If no one says that they can, then I rearrange the groups before I open the rooms. And then someone shares their screen and opens the link, and then someone on the team is taking the information from the team members and doing the typing. Okay, so they have to work together though. So that's usually a group of 3 is ideal. Okay, so that everybody's participating. So we're going to talk about social networking. And this is part of a larger writing lesson plan that I do. So you're welcome to replicate this. It's really fun because there's this website. This guy is psychic. I'm not going to give it away. You have to watch the video, but we talk about social networking. We have some conversation. We do some reading from some ESL textbooks. I watch a video. We watch some other videos about good and bad of social networking. We do the brainstorming. That's what we're going to do. And then they write a paragraph about whether either it's about pros and cons of social networking or whether they think social networking has helped or harmed society. So we're going to try this. Are you ready? Do you use social networking? What do you use? Facebook? If you use Facebook, you're old. If you use Instagram, you're young. No Facebook. Anna is young. Facebook is for old people. That's what the new generation says. That's what my daughter tells me. If you use LinkedIn, you're a professional. Okay, so I'm going to open the breakout rooms. LinkedIn, me too. WhatsApp, okay. Oh, you're 24-year-old. Yeah, so, I'm just saying what my 18-year-old told me. I don't know. I don't even use that much of, I use Twitter, and that's only, since 2016. Magic date. Okay, so I pasted this in the chat. I'm going to paste it again in just a moment. Okay. Yeah, they're almost all owned by each other now, right? Okay. And I'm going to send you back to your breakout rooms, but let me make sure. Anna, are you able to share your screen? Tell me yes or no. Okay, good. Diane, are you able to share your screen? Okay. Diana Batista, are you able to share your screen?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. Donna Price, are you able to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's see. Christina Navarro, are you able to share your screen?
I believe so.
Okay, good. And Sandra Peterson, are you able to share your screen? Okay, no problem. Sharon, are you able to share your screen? Sharon.
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. And Carolyn, hi Carolyn. Carolyn, are you able to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay, so if you said yes, you're able to share your screen. Can you click on the link in the chat right now? And open. Okay, now listen carefully. Anna, your group is number 1. You're going to talk with your group and you're going to write 1 or 2 positives of social networking. So you're going to click here on that plus, and it's going to probably appear somewhere over here, okay? So you're going to click plus and you're going to, so let me demonstrate that. It appears somewhere on the screen, and where it says write something, you write, keywords are fine at this point. We're brainstorming. There's no bad answers. 1 or 2 positives of social networking, 1 or 2 negatives. So Anna, your team is number 1. You need to talk. So Ashley, Laura, and Rana, you need to help Anna. Team 2, you see you are group 2, okay? So Diane, Flavia, Miguel, and Yana. Team 3, on the bottom, there, if you're sharing your screen, on the bottom is this slider, okay? So team 3, Diana, Batista, Donna, Lillian, and Marisol. Team 4, Xianne, Christina, and Gretchen. Team 5, you are group 5, Sandra, Savita, and Sharon. And group 6, team 6, you are Carolyn, Christiane. I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I apologize if I mispronounce your name.
Okay,
And
Christiane.
Yelena. Okay, Christiane and Yelena. Okay, does everybody understand? Do you have questions? Please ask now.
I have a question, Christy.
Yes, go ahead, Donna.
Did you give me permission to share, or do I have to click on anything to share?
You'll need to look for the green button on the black Zoom toolbar. Do you see it?
Christy, when I click on share, it says it's disabled for participants.
Kara, are you able to change that? Let me see if I can change that.
Yes,
Oh,
I should be able to.
Oh, I think I got it. Can you see it now?
We got a
Yeah, we
message that
have
said host
the
disabled.
ability to share now.
Okay, so for future reference, if you are teaching and this happens, go to the down arrow next to your share button. And that's where you will be able to see how you can get your students to be able to share. You had me sweating for a minute. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
Christy, is this shelf?
That's correct. This is the shelf. Mhm. Okay, looks like some groups are, oh, let's see, let me refresh. Okay, they're catching up.
If I put students in triads, this would be just a good pair and share.
Yeah, I mean, there are just several things you could do, I think, like, but I like this for brainstorming. You could definitely do this on a Google Doc too, but it's just another way for them to see what everybody else is kind of writing in a different kind of layout and format. So, yeah.
I used to teach high school and I used this.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, back in the day. And, you know, the high school student whose mind is still developing, they'd have these private, public conversations just till they got used to the idea of Padlet.
Yeah, yeah. Can get obsessive, time waster.
Oh, yeah, there's good points.
Really good points. Give me some good ideas, because this is actually our topic next week.
I guess it'll save it for me and I'll send it to you. Oh, no, you'll have the video. So
Yeah.
it does save it though, because it's your
Yeah,
password,
yeah.
right?
Yep. This is my account. So yeah. Check the time. I'll give them one more minute.
And that's your announcement, right?
Yeah. Right, so we got some early finishers. So sometimes you probably know that you just need to do a little refresh right there to see what the latest posts are. And it's interesting to see how some groups kind of put one post with a list, and some groups put post after post after post, kind of a different approach. Lots of good information here, lots of great ideas. Okay, so everybody should be back in about 5 seconds. All right, everybody. So this could be a great way to do brainstorm. So obviously a Google Doc would work too, but I kind of like this. You see that it could be hard for beginning students to see that they need to scroll if you have a large class. I usually don't have 6 groups, honestly, but look at all the great information here. And then they have not just their small groups ideas, but now they've got so many different ideas for what they can use for their own writing. So I think brainstorming in this way could be really a great way to build up ideas in the pre-writing stages. Hope you all agree, but so many different things that you could use for Padlet for collaborative activities. So do you use Padlet in this way? Have you ever used a shelf before? If you can type yes or no in the chat. And then one that I saw here, this is just so great that everyone looks perfect in social media. And that's kind of what one video I just saw on CNN, you know, this girl who went missing, Petito, and now has been found dead. In her social media, everything looks so happy and beautiful. So yeah, it's a really interesting topic. Our students, if you bring it up, they really get into this. They don't often think of the negatives. They think of the positives, like being able to connect with their family. But you should try this, do this brainstorm with them to get them thinking critically about social media. They don't know maybe the larger topics that we're facing about social media in our country, right? So that is Padlet. So one other thing that you can do, what did I want to say about here? I think I already talked about that. Okay, so another way that I do collaboration, just like what you did, is we could do this with vocabulary, any vocabulary. Well, this was back in summer 2020 in my class that, again, they're really advanced. These students are, you know, really high academic vocabulary, but even that, I wanted them to really be challenged. So I brought in some idioms every week. And so every week, I have a YouTube playlist. Someone created these short videos that have one idiom per video that tell what the idiom is, gives examples, tells the etymology of the idiom. So I created this whole note-taking form, and students had to watch these videos and take notes on about four new idioms every week. And I created conversation questions that they did in breakout rooms and in the discussion boards and LMS. And then at the end of the term, we had this long list of idioms for every week. So about 32 new idioms that they learned in that summer. And then, so the last day of class, you know, what can I do? I could do like a Quizlet Live, I could do a quizzes, but why don't I have students make the test on the idioms? So what I did is I created breakout rooms, and I created a slideshow ahead of time. And when they were in the breakout rooms, I really quick went to the slideshow and put their names. So every group had about 3 slides. with the group names. And then when they're in their breakout rooms, I said, okay, talk about what you're going to do in the weekend really fast. I'm going to visit your breakout room. I'm going to tell you 3 idioms. And then what you need to do is you need to put a picture or some sentence clue for the class. And it's going to be our final exam on the idioms we've learned. So I gave my model example. So these are instructions, okay? And here's my model with my instructional aid. So I put a picture and we'll see if you know these idioms. I can't believe this storm. Yes, it's
Raining cats and dogs today.
exactly. Yes. So this was one team. It's not hard. It's a
Piece of cake.
exactly. And this team, okay, this idiom actually does come from boxing. Pugilism it's called, right? Please don't give up. Don't
Throw in the towel.
Throw in the towel.
exactly throw in the towel. So this is what we did for the final 15 minutes of class. It was fun. They had to remember the idiom. Here's the last one. I haven't seen you for a long time, but we need each other here. What?
A small world.
Yeah. So you can do this with any vocabulary, right? You could. That lower level students, let's say you're studying fruit, they have to, maybe they write a sentence. It's round, it's red, it's juicy. Or they lowest level students, they put a picture. You have to teach them that technology skill, of course. Okay, so other things. For grammar practice, I've done this in-person classes as well as remotely. So any type of grammar and speaking, any grammar, okay? We can have students write interview questions and pair them up, or small groups of 3. And this one, then they have a slideshow and they're putting their partner's answers in pictures of themselves or pictures from the internet. So this one was adverbs of agreement. So, to, either, neither, okay? So these two, they interviewed each other in a breakout room. They put in sentences and pictures. So this is Erica and Tammy. Erica's from Mexico, but Tammy comes from Vietnam. Erica listens to music in her free time, and so does Tammy. Erica would like to speak English fluently in the future, and Tammy would too. Erica doesn't like rats, and Tammy doesn't either. Erica doesn't want to lie to her family. Okay, and neither does Tammy. I don't think anybody wants to. Thank you. And then, so then they spoke in front of the class in Zoom or in the classroom, practicing the grammar, talking about themselves, a little more meaningful than just the dialogue and drill. Okay. So then this was another, I talked about this last week, these photos I just love from the New York Times, what's going on in this picture. You click on this link and it will take you there. So what I did, we were working this particular term on parts of speech and descriptive writing. So we were going on, this is advanced, and the credit level in our program, they told us, and at our high school program, they told us, we want students to know what an article, noun, verb, pronoun, adjective, adverb, conjunction, preposition. We want them to be familiar with that terminology. Okay, so how can I teach this in a way that's more interesting than just identifying parts of speech and sentences? So what I decided to do after, we worked on adjectives. What are adjectives? What I did is I went to this website and I put together a Google slideshow, and I put one interesting picture on a slide, and each team had 2 slides. One with a picture and one blank, okay? And so then you see this team 4, they had this picture. And then what they needed to do is to write a story or a description about this picture. And they had to try to add as many adjectives as they could. And we made it into a little contest. The team with the most adjectives in the limited amount of time that I gave them was the winner. So then I asked them also to somehow highlight the adjectives. So this team, they wrote this really, it was short, but chock full of adjectives, this little description of this picture, okay? How you could do this in a different way is I learned about this activity my very first Catesol conference at Long Beach. I remember Gretchen and Cindy were there. I don't remember the year, it was maybe like 2005. It was so long ago. My daughter was a baby and she's 18 now. And the presenter, it was on one of those Sunday workshops. She had all these beautiful photos from National Geographic. And she gave each team these photos, and we had to write down nouns, adjectives, and adverbs, okay? For that picture, no sentences. And then she took the picture, our papers with these words, and she took the pictures, and then she distributed the papers to different teams with just the words. And we had to look at the words and recreate what we thought the picture would be. So you could do something like this. It was so fun. And I love this activity because then what we saw was the picture and if the story matched up at all. So what I did was something like this with my class. And this is one of my best activities, I think. You know, I just really love it. I hope you like it. Okay, here we go. So what I did with this, and I've done it 3 times remotely, and it works out so well. The students love it. Okay. And what it is, you'll see it here. This is with a video. Let me model first. So I model with this one. I ask students, what are some good reasons to miss school or work? So you can unmute yourself. What do you think? What are some good reasons to miss school or work? How much time did I give them? Oh, are you talking about the pro-con? Yeah. So for
no,
this,
about the writing, the story writing.
they were a really advanced class. I think it was like 20, 25 minutes for that class. But yeah, you know, the good thing is I can see, I don't even need to go to the breakout rooms, but I was visiting the breakout rooms, but I can see live their slideshow when they're in the breakout rooms, and I can kind of see how each team is going. Yeah, so I could, if they weren't very far along, I was just kind of like, I guess I'll give them 10 more minutes or something, right? Okay. Yes, family emergencies, doctor's appointments, you have COVID, don't go to work or school, right? Okay, what are some bad excuses? Yeah, don't go to work or school if you're sick, please. Bad excuses? I'm sure teachers, we've heard some of those, right? I'm so tired. Oh, it's someone's birthday. I can't go to school, it's my birthday. I have to go shopping. I get that one a lot, Sandra, don't you?
Taking extra days before a holiday.
Oh gosh, yeah, that
That's
one's
a bad.
Botox appointment. Wow, that's a new one. I remember that. I don't have anything to wear. I'm going to Disneyland. I can't come to school. I can't come to work. Yeah. Okay, yes. All right, so we go through this, we talk about that. You had a nose job student. Oh my goodness. I suppose, I don't know. Funny excuses we get. Relatives, yeah, guests, sometimes, I don't know. We get all kinds, yes, don't we? So what I do here is I have, my students are advanced. So what you might want to do is actually have the words on the slide, but I have the words in the notes area, okay, down here, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy them up here. And then I kind of model. So, hey, everybody, look at these words. Let's work together to write a story. What do you think this story is going to be about? So we have an announcer, call friends, golf loudspeaker, man named sick trouble. So go ahead. Who wants to give it a shot? What do you think this story is about? A man what? Who's a brave soul who wants to tell the story? This is exactly what happens in my class. Everybody's a little quiet, kind of reflecting, and then they all start talking at once.
A man called in sick because he wanted to play golf, but when he won, the announcer pronounced his name.
Okay. Okay, so what we can do is
I
we
don't
can
know.
pick out the words, use man, we called sick, name, on the loudspeaker. Just doing
I
it
need
fast.
somebody
we
to
have
help me
enough time.
finish.
And
We
he
have-
wanted to
got
play golf
into
with his
trouble.
friends.
What's
With
that?
friends.
He,
Play
okay,
golf
play
with
golf with
friends.
his friends.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't have to be one sentence. We can start a new sentence too.
And after loudspeaker, and he got into trouble
And why?
because his
Boss.
name
His
was
boss
mentioned and
wasn't-
he wasn't in school or work.
Because
His boss-
because
His boss was there.
his boss was there. Oh, at the golf course. So his boss heard the name and like, what? I thought he was sick today. What? Oh, no. Okay, so let's see if you're right. Let's see if you're right here. Here we go. This is the story. So one time I found all these little videos. This is a commercial. I don't know what, for phone company or
Yeah,
something.
sir, this is James Horner. Yeah, James Horner. Actually, I'm doing pretty lousy, sir. I have a sore throat and a headache, and I've been puking my guts out all night long. So I figure I'm not going to come into work today.
So a man was
Yeah,
calling,
sir, this is James
play
Horner.
golf with his friends. He
Yeah,
called in
James
sick.
Horner. Actually, I'm doing pretty lousy, sir. I have a sore throat and a headache, and I've been puking my guts out all night long. So I figure I'm not going to come into work today. Yeah, I'm gonna lay low and try and kick this thing.
Corner force him to the tee. Corner force him to the tee.
Great.
Okay, so, oh my gosh, my time is up. What a bummer. But anyway, what I do is you need to check this out. This video, what I have students do then is the words are right here. These are words down here. And they write a story, and this is the actual video then we watch, and we see which team was closest. The funniest thing is I had one team that cheated. They took that group of words, they copied it into Google, and they found this movie trailer that was so funny. It was almost like the real thing. It was just hilarious. It was like almost like this video. But you have to watch the video. You just have to check it out. It works really well. Here are a couple of other videos that I've used that works really well with this activity. And then because I'm out of time, I'll just have to tell you about Jamboard. So I have, without getting going into my political mode or getting upset or going on my high horse, we have this EL Civics co-op. And it's on workplace environment rights. And at first I was really hesitant to use it, but it is amazing. I kind of scaled it out with some grammar, and I added some really neutral conversation questions to it. And if you're interested in any of those materials, email me and I'd be happy to share that. And what I did with Jamboard, if you're not familiar, it's like Padlet in that you can put these sticky Post-its, okay? And you can, as a teacher, you can add images. You can add text boxes. So I worked in the grammar of unreal conditionals. What would you do in this situation? Because I got so disgusted seeing all of these videos on YouTube and Twitter of people being so racist and disgusting that I wanted my students to be prepared. So I don't know if you've ever heard of this TV show, What Would You Do? Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
It's been on, the first time I saw it was in 2009. And this video right here is a remake of one of the first times I watched that show in 2009. And it was about day laborers. And so check out these videos. I use these, Rana, who is here, observed my class this summer when we did this. And what I did is we watched these, it's real situations, but with actors. And then the people around are not actors. And there is a secret camera seeing what they do in these situations where a female bartender is being sexually harassed at work, where someone is in a restaurant and they are Spanish speakers and they are trying to communicate, but they don't have any English and they are being harassed. And this one is about day laborers who are going into a cafe trying to order something and they don't have any English. And my students, they really felt something about this, but it was kind of taking a step back because I was asking them, what would you do? And they were posting, working together as a team. What would you do if you were a customer? Well, I would never go back to that restaurant. I would tell my friends never to go there. What would you do if you were a worker? What would you do if that was you? And anyway, in this co-op, there is a part, you know, where the students have to do a one-to-one role play. And we just did this in Zoom on an individual basis where students made appointments with me. And my students have all faced some situation like this. And yours have too. So we have to help them be prepared for this. So I don't want to get all emotional like this, but we're living in hard times and we have to be their voice and give them a voice. So anyway, hopefully you walked away with something you can use today, whether it's Padlet, Google Docs. Yeah, right, Marisol. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional. I was really trying to be strong, but it was amazing because they were acting really strong and through this whole discrimination unit. But when they got to this part where they had to role play a report of making, you know, a report of discrimination or harassment, they all would say at the end, this actually did happen to me.
I have a question.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, can you compare Jamboard to Google Slides? Someone in chat said that it's Jamboard is easier for lower levels.
Okay, let's just do this. Let me open a Jamboard. If you need to leave, please just feel free. Let me share. Oh, thank you so much, Gretchen. Let me just share something let me share the slides in the chat because I know some people do probably have other commitments. And I have on these slides as well, the links to the other sessions if you were unable to attend. Please feel free to email me. If you ever want to meet with me and try something out, I'd be happy to do that. I love to meet with teachers and talk to other teachers. And I learn as much from you, I'm sure, as you would from me, for sure. Okay, so let me just share with you the link to the slides in case you do need to take off. And let me bring up a Jamboard so you can experience it. Because I think the only true way to know if it's easier or not is just to try it. I think for a lot of students, Google Slides will be easier because, let me open a Jamboard real quick. So Jamboard is part of Google. So for you teachers, so this is my what would you do, okay? I erased what students had posted before, but I can actually go back to, it has a reversion possibility, but let me go just to Jamboard. So you log in with your Google account and I have some here. So I have one where I had students post do's and don'ts of job interview. Let me open ones just so that you can practice posting to one, okay? So I'm gonna share this in the chat and you can experience and then you can answer that question yourself. Is it easier or harder for you, for your students? Okay, let me find my chat. Okay, click on the chat and this will open for you. And what you do is you go to the right and there's this little thing called sticky note. So the question is, which do you like best? Desert, beach, mountains or forest. Add a sticky note. See, someone did it there. Yeah. Add a sticky note with your name. You don't have to put your name if you don't want to. And the one you like best, and write one sentence to explain. So you click on the sticky note and it'll appear, and then you can type on it and you drag it. So that's, if your students are not super good with mouse skills, if they're on a tablet or phone, it might be a little hard. It might be a little harder than just typing on a Google slide. One thing to notice is up here at the top, you have multiple frames. So you could have one question here that they answer. You go to the next frame, another question that they answer, next frame. You can have multiple frames, kind of like how you would have multiple slides. So then what you also see down here, you can experiment with, is there's a laser in the bottom right. So I could say, oh, this is a good one right here. It depends on my mood. Hey, everybody, look right here. It depends on the mood, doesn't it? And then we can add a text box. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a sticky. So maybe I could call out like, oh, thank you. I was going to call out this person. What did they need to do with their spelling? Okay. I can add an image.
Hey, Christy, I'm sorry. Where do I get the stickies?
Over here on the far left.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then what else? You can erase. There is a pen. Hi. Okay. There's a pen. You can, this would be really great for beginning vocabulary. You can set a background. Okay, let me just try that. Actually, I don't have a picture ready, but let's go back to things in the house. Let's say I have a picture that is like a cut, you know, what do you call that? Where it's cut down the middle. Maybe we'll stop recording now, huh? Since I'm kind of blah, blah, blah. Okay.